in for this big game.
Small crowd on Henry tonight. Tonelli steals it, a shot. Oh, and he fired it wide. Now Laraway centers it. Lacroix looking to make a play at the left point. Popeil winds up. The shot blocked by Paul and Bordelot. Popeil got the rebound. In along the far boards. Laraway in the slot. Tonelli in for Lacroix. He was checked. Campbell in deep to hold it in. Scott Campbell for the Aeros trying to make a play. Centers it. It's knocked away. Centers it again. It's held now at the side of the goal, and play is called. Aeros buzzing around that Quebec zone, and John Tonelli had a great chance, but just fired it wide of Quebec goaltender Richard Brodeur. The Aeros leading 2-0 here.
71 minutes, 21 seconds of shutout hockey. Brodeur playing against the Aeros, and now 2 quick goals. 2 quick goals have opened this game up for the Aeros. And you got to keep charging. We learned that, I think, in the second game. I tell you, win this hockey game, and it comes down really, Jerry. You've got 2 days off, and this is a key factor for the Aeros. The next game is not till Wednesday, and then the 6th game in Quebec. Even though it is in Quebec, there's a lot of pressure going to be. Let's take this one. Let's get
one
this
at a time. You finally learned. You finally learned. Here's Ruskowski, Lukowicz, and Terbenci. This is the line that gave the Aeros their first goal. Ruskowski against Serge Bernier to the left of Brodeur, and the Nordiques get the draw. Here's Jean Bernier. Starting out on the left side. Lead pass for Serge Bernier over his stick, and here's John Schella. Now clears it into center ice for Terbenci. Down right wing into that Quebec zone. It's taken away by Serge Bernier, and the Nordiques take over. Serge Bernier to Francois Lacombe. Shoots the puck into center ice. Cloutier missed it. Here's Al McLeod to John Schella. Schella, left wing pass to Al McLeod. Lead pass in center ice for Terbenci. Got it away from Jean Bernier, then was checked from behind by Mark Tardif. Up with that puck for Quebec. Francois Lacombe to Jean Bernier. Out in center ice to Mark Tardif. Watch it here. In on right wing to Cloutier. Into that Houston zone. A shot wide of the Aeros goal. Rebound, Serge Bernier near boards. Bumped by Ruskowski. Left point, Jean Bernier. A shot. Save. Rebound. A shot. That's wide of the goal. Rebound, Tardif. Got it to Bernier. A shot. Save made by Rutledge, and he holds on. From the summit, this is Houston Aeros hockey. Face-off will be in the circle to the left of Aeros goaltender Wayne Rutledge, who came up with a couple of brilliant saves there. Backup goaltender tonight for the Aeros is Lynn Zimmerman. The backup goaltender for Quebec is Ken Broderick. Aeros leading 2-0 here in the first period. 629-1050. That Aeros season ticket hotline. And right from the face-off, Lukowicz a little over-anxious. They'll have to drop the puck again.
Big Larry Lund out there for that face-off, and he's a right-hand shot. He's going to be drawing toward the goaltender. You got to be ready.
Right from the face-off, Bernier a shot stopped by Rutledge. The puck comes to Al McLeod, winding up in his own zone on right wing to Terry Ruskowski. Here's Ruskowski for the Aeros, spinning away from Mark Tardif, starting down right wing. Lost it now to Serge Bernier, and Schella clears it down the ice. Racing it after it, Morris Lukowicz touches it. It was offside at the center ice red line when Lukowicz finally caught up with that puck.
The thing about Luke is he seems to be going in a different gear than anybody else out there. He just is so quick. But isn't it very noticeable how much that Terry Ruskowski means to this hockey club out there tonight? And of course, makes it tough on Bill Deneen when he has to mix his lines up and change so many. When with Ruskowski there, he can basically leave Ruskowski and Lukowicz together, and seems to be able to have 3 good, solid lines.
Here's Al McLeod for the Aeros, who lead 2-0 here in the first period. Around on right wing to Paul Terbenci. He tried to clear it out. He's checked by Tardif. They tie it up along the near boards. The Aeros taking no chances here with people like Bernier, Tardif, and Cloutier out there.
There's a good sign of experience there. Terbenci on that wing. He did not give the puck away. He could have tried to move it out of the zone, but he knew there was a defensive back there. You try and bank it, a loose puck, and away you go. You're tied up on the boards, and you've got to know where that puck's going.
Face-off will be just inside of the Houston blue line. Aeros leading 2-0, 2:30 remaining here in the first period. Season ticket drive can use a little help here.
629-1050. Give it a call. Let's see how many we can get out there tonight. If you're listening and you haven't bought tickets yet, for next year's season, why don't you give a call? Just 10% down, not too much, and there are a good variety of price ranges there for you.
And this is for the National Hockey League. Remember, if the Aeros don't get into the NHL, you get your money back. Here's Francois Lacombe in on right wing to Serge Bernier, checked away by Lukowicz, who clears it up into the Aeros bench, and play is called. Faceoff will be inside the Houston blue line once again. You would have liked to have seen, of course, you're greedy, you would like to have seen the Aeros salt away another goal after they had scored those 2 quick ones, and they had a couple of chances, because this Quebec club, you just can't sit back on your heels against them.
Boy, you've got to keep it inside their blue line a good percentage of the time and keep the heat on them, because they are going to score if you let them have any sustained pressure. They just are too sharp around the net.
They miss Brackenberry. I think they haven't thrown their weight around at all tonight. Now in the faceoff, the Aeros get it into center ice, and here's Paul Baxter with that puck on left wing to Jim Dory. Back to Baxter, standing at that Quebec blue line. Aeros leading 2-0. Baxter shoots it into the Houston zone on goal. Rutledge drops it off to John Hughes on the near boards, clears it up ahead for Hansis, knocked away by Sutherland. He's pinned by 2 Aeros along the boards. Now Fitchner is tying up John Hughes, and play is called. Going to be a face-off at the top of the circle to the right of Wayne Rutledge, who's out there shaking his head a little bit as he talks to a couple of the Aeros.
John Hughes has been one of the steadiest performers on that Aeros blue line in the latter part of the season, and particularly here through the playoffs.
Led the Aeros in plus-minus this season.
And it's been one of the top plus in the playoffs, too.
Can you imagine, now the puck is tied up outside the Aeros blue line and play is called, and can you imagine that John Hughes, who on the regular season, what did Hughesy have here? He had 28 points compared to Mark Tardif's league leading 154 points. Hughesy had a better plus-minus than Mark Tardif.
He was the top plus-minus on our hockey club.
I think Tardif was a plus 15 and Hughes was a plus 20. Now John Hughes for the Aeros, trying to clear it out. It's held in by Fitchner. Big Fitchner playing another strong game here, and now it's called because the Nordiques hit it with a high stick, and the Nordiques picked it up again. Play is whistled down. 1:32 remaining here in period number 1. The Aeros leading 2-0. 629-1050. That Aeros season ticket hotline. Get your season tickets. Help the Aeros into the NHL next season. What have the ads said in the paper the last couple of days? Shoot the Aeros into the NHL.
We don't really care how we get there, as long as we get there.
Shoot it, push it, pull them. Just get them there. 7,000 season tickets is what it's going to take. Now the puck in that Houston zone. Play is called, and we're going to be getting a penalty here. I think it's going to be Sutherland and Hughes who will be going off. As referee Bill Friday blows the whistle here and calls Mr. Hughes and Mr. Sutherland over in the penalty box. They will cool their heels for a couple of minutes with high sticking minors at 18:32.
Sutherland, who the last home game here got kicked out of the game as Connor, and he went into it, but he's a competitor, and he plays a good up and down game for you, a good tough game for you, and a lot of times he can attract the attention of somebody out there, and while his line mates come up with a big goal. But Fitchner and Brackenberry, along with Sutherland, make a pretty good combination, and Brackenberry is not in the lineup here tonight. Has bad stomach muscles, Jerry, and truly some, not the inside ones, but the outside ones.
Face off in that Houston zone. The Aeros get the draw and clear it down the ice. We will be taking your phone calls between periods here tonight. I'll give you that phone number in just a moment. Here's Warren Miller in center ice, tied up by Larry Lund. The Aeros leading 2-0. Dory on left wing now into the center ice zone. Got it to Miller, spun around by Larry Lund, skates it back into that Quebec zone, starts the center ice, drops it off for Bob Fitchner, moving through center. Fitchner in across that Houston line, a shot. Rutledge to save, rebound. Rutledge pushed it away from Miller as he went to shoot. Now the puck taken by McLeod. He tries to start out with it. Less than a minute to play in the first period. Lead pass for Scott Campbell, moving through center. In on right wing for Larry Lund. Lund stops in that Quebec zone, trying to make a play. Still with that puck. Larry Lund for the Aeros, closing in, shoots off the leg of McLeod. It bounces wide of the goal. Now here's Jim Dory on left wing for Quebec, starting out with it against Taylor, who steals it. Now Taylor in center ice against Miller. They fight for that puck along the near boards and hold it for a face-off. Larry Lund, you don't often see him take a slap shot, but there he was allowed to walk in from a good distance, and he hit Al McLeod with it.
Seas sort of parted. McLeod standing in front of the net more as a screen, and you really do not mind getting hit with the puck if it ends up in the twine, but that time it went off of McLeod. hit the pad of Brodeur, went into the corner, and McLeod seems to know when to get himself moving into that zone on an offensive move without getting himself defensively in a bad position.
39 seconds remaining here in the first period. Aeros have a 2-0 lead, a minute 10 remaining in those minor penalties to Hughes and Sutherland. Now Lukowich fighting with Tardif for that puck. It comes to center ice. The Aeros get it to Scott Campbell. Campbell lead pass for Lukowich on left wing to Al McLeod. Each team a man short. Now to Terry Ruskowski. Ruskowski left wing pass for McLeod. Tried to get it through for Ruskowski. It's tipped away by Serge Bernier. Bernier over to Tardif on left wing, moving into that Houston zone. Tardif checked on the play, lost it now to Ruskowski. And the Aeros break back 2-on-2. Ruskowski with McLeod against Weir and LaRiviere. Here's Ruskowski spinning around. Weir is tripped up. Play goes right on. And back come the Nordiques. Down left wing, it's Serge Bernier with Gary LaRiviere. Long shot in by Bernier, high off the glass at the buzzer. And the first period ends with the Houston Aeros skating off with a 2-goal lead. Our score at the end of the first period, it's the Houston Aeros 2 and the Quebec Nordiques nothing. 526-4984 is our telephone number if you'd like to talk with us on the talk show here between periods. 526-4984. Get your calls in now. It's
The first period.
all right, second period about to begin. Referee Bill Friday drops the puck and period number 2 is underway. Jim Dory in his own zone for Quebec, chased by Terry Ruskowski and hammered into the boards. Now the puck taken by Baxter, checked by McLeod, puck held in by the Aeros. Here's Ruskowski pulled down on the play, no penalty call. That Aeros bench yelling at referee Bill Friday. Now Ruskowski takes Tardif to the boards, and here comes Serge Bernier on right wing to Jim Dory. Dory moving through center, lead pass for Serge Bernier. Moving into that Houston zone. Bernier knocked off the puck by Morris Lukowich, and here's Al McLeod for Houston. Left wing pass to Terry Ruskowski. Ruskowski misses a check by Tardif, trying to get away from Bernier. Tripped up, no penalty called. Baxter from the point, a shot. That's fired wide. Tardif went down. Now John Hughes checks a man. Here's Sutherland, a shot. Rudlick's the save, and he holds on. As Serge Bernier was looking for a rebound.
Aeros coming out of the chute, hitting in this second period. Ruskowski, you know, you think he'd favor that knee a little bit, but he is a reckless character. He really put it to Dory, and if there's anybody on that team that deserves to get it, it's probably him.
No, don't show your partiality here.
Well, that's true. That's the way I feel.
Larry Lund will come out to take the face-off for the Aeros to the right of Serge Bernier. Or to the right of Wayne Rutledge against Serge Bernier, I should say. Face-off will be to the right of that Aeros goaltender. Houston leading 2-0 here in the second period of play. Face-off in that Houston zone. Here's Lund against Bernier, and the Aeros get the draw too. Chalet tried to clear it up on the wing for Lukowich, but fans on it. Here comes Al McLeod to Morris Lukowich, trying to get away from Kluche. Kluche stole it. Got it to Dory, right point Baxter into the slot for Serge Bernier. Bernier centers it now. It's tipped away by Shella, and here is Buddy Kluche. Right point Baxter, a shot, fired wide, rebound. Tardif on the end boards, tied up by Al McLeod and pinned there, and Larry Lund gets the puck for the Aeros. Up on right wing to Terry Ruskowski. Ruskowski lead pass for Lund. It's intercepted by Baxter, a shot. McLeod blocked it, loose puck. Baxter and Lund go to the corner. Now they push and shove. Baxter and Larry Lund. Under the watchful eye of Bill Friday, and back come the Aeros. Lukowich moving into that Quebec zone. Drop pass for Ruskowski. Terry Ruskowski for the Aeros, trying to make a play. Ruskowski still with that puck. Holding on, right point, Shella, the drive. It's blocked at the defense by Serge Bernier. And back come the Aeros. Lead pass, Kluche has a breakaway. In a shot, Rudlick's the save. Rebound cleared away by Shella. This crowd roaring with every move the Aeros make. Here's Serge Bernier, chased back by Shella into center ice. Bernier moving into the Houston zone on right wing for Dory, stopping now a shot. Rudlick the save, juggles it. Shella clear the rebound into the corner. Here's Popio for Houston, watched by Kluche, fires it around on right wing for Paul Terbenci. Terbenci lost it now to Tardif, centers it. Kluche over along the near boards. Kluche bumped by Paul Popio, got it to Baxter. Left point for Wally Weir. Weir a shot. Rudlick slides across and makes the save again. Here's Weir, bumped by Shella and Ruskowski. Going to be a penalty here to the Aeros. Now the puck comes to Kluche. Checked by Luke, but she shoots at the center and play is called. And John Shella is going to get a penalty here for the Aeros. As Aeros finally had Weir lined up. He's been throwing his weight around here in this series thus far, taking a few cheap shots, and Ruskowski and Shella had him lined up, and They let Mr. Weir know they had a few strong feelings for him.
Well, that one might be worth it because they really rocked Weir in the corner. Shella being awfully aggressive. He just piled into Weir. Ruskowski coming in there in the secondary shot. Weir's a big factor back on that blue line for Quebec as far as toughness. Now the Aeros, if they can kill this one off, but they've been a little bit loose with that puck. That's the only thing that scares you, Jerry. But other than that, they have done some good aggressive hitting in that first.
I tell you what's got the Aeros fired up with Weir. He came out of the Quebec dressing room after that last game and just went up to the Aeros bus and walked down the length of the bus just laughing at the guys. You know, there's no call for that. Doesn't take much professionalism to do that, does it?
I'll tell you, if he's a pro, he never gives him an edge, and that may be an edge.
Here is Tardif for Quebec. Shooting the puck to center ice right under the stick of John Hughes. The Aeros a man short. Hughes clears it into that Quebec zone. Back is Gary Lariviere with Andre Lacroix after him. Now Fitchner with that puck. Here's Lacroix fighting for it. Steals it. Brodeur checks it away. And here's Lariviere. Now in the far corner to Alain Cote. Checked by Taylor in that corner. They fight for that puck. Now it comes loose for Mark Tardif. Tardif drops it off for Bob Fitchner. Fitchner lost it in front of his own goal, but Tardif picks it up and the Nordiques break out 3-on-2. Right wing pass in for Kluche. Into that Houston zone. Kluche in deep trying to make a play. At the left point for Fitchner. Right point, Gary Lariviere. A shot. Rutledge the save. Rebound on the end boards. Here's Kluche. Centers it. Andre Lacroix breaks it up for the Aeros. He starts out with Ted Taylor. Taylor for Houston. Along the far boards. Back in his own zone to John Hughes. Hughes lead pass for Taylor at that Houston line. Taylor now to Andre Lacroix. Lacroix got it to Taylor on right wing. Moving to the Quebec line, shoots it back into the Houston zone. Popillo for the Aeros out to Andre Lacroix. 52 seconds left in the penalty as Kluche runs at Lacroix, and here's Taylor shooting it down the ice for the Aeros. And again, this crowd roaring with every move the Aeros make. Now here comes Mark Tardif for the Nordiques. On right wing to Gary Lariviere as Tardif and Ruskowski have a little battle. Tardif and Ruskowski. Ruskowski wants to go with Tardif. Tardif looking over Ruskowski. They get it to Fitchner. A shot. Rutledge the save. Rebound in front. Aeros fail to clear it. Loose puck. Kluche, a shot. Fired it wide. Now the puck rolling along the far boards. Lariviere couldn't hold it in. Shoots it back in. Tonelli breaks it up for the Aeros to John Hughes. He clears it on an open wing, and here's Terry Ruskowski for the Aeros. 12 seconds left in that Houston penalty. Ruskowski for Houston. On left wing to Al McLeod. It's checked away. Now McLeod comes up with it, and here come the Aeros. Lead pass. Tonelli has a breakaway. In on goal. Tonelli shoots. Brodeur the save. Rebound Tonelli. On the end boards, Ruskowski to Tonelli. To Ruskowski, it's tipped away. Shella's back on. Here come the Nordiques. Sutherland with Kluche and Boudria. Sutherland drop past Kluche in. A shot. Rutledge the save. The rebound got by him, but rolls wide of the goal, and the Aeros shoot it down the length of the ice now. Going back to touch it, Francois Lacombe. The Aeros are called for icing. Houston leading 2-0 from the summit. This is Houston Aeros hockey. Remaining here in the second period. The Aeros trying to stave off elimination. Lead the Quebec Nordiques 2-0. It's Lund with Taylor and Hansis against Boudria, Sutherland, and Miller. First period goals by Turbecci and Connor, and the Aeros in front 2-0. Face off to the right of Rutledge. Now we have Hansis a little over anxious. I'll get everybody lined up again for this draw. Aeros win the face-off, get it to Scott Campbell around on left wing to Ted Taylor. What a job he did moments ago as a penalty killer. Now the puck centered in front of the Houston goal. Campbell breaks it up for the Aeros, shoots it on right wing to Hansis, shovels it out into center ice for Ted Taylor. Taylor in for Larry Lund across that Quebec line. Lacombe breaks it up but fails to clear it. Lund got it into the slot for Hansis. It was tipped away by the Nordiques. Covered up by the goaltender Brodeur, and he holds on for a face-off. Difference here tonight has to be the penalty killing, Jack.
And also the loose pucks. I think the Aeros are on top of those loose pucks. Foxy talked to the team here this morning after the workout, talking about that. If you want it, you got to go get it, and you got to be the first man to any loose puck, and that's what the Aeros have been doing. You can make a mistake, Jerry, but if you cover up and you're alert out there, you can take some chances and capitalize by getting those loose pucks.
Here's Lund on the face-off against Boudria. They get it back to Scott Campbell, but it rolls outside of the Quebec zone. The Aeros have to clear and get back on side. Here is Scott Campbell for Houston, ahead for Larry Lund. Flips it down into the Quebec zone. Gray racing it after it, bumped on the play by Lacombe. Jean Bernier with that puck, gave it away at the right point to Scott Campbell, holding it in. Campbell dumps it along the boards. It's tipped away by the Nordiques. The Aeros' Larry Lund holds it in with a golf shot. And here come the Nordiques out with it now. Jean Bernier, long drive from center wide of the goal. Rebound, cleared away by the Aeros, but not out. Now John Gray moving to the blue line. He battles with Lacombe. Lacombe knocks Gray down. Now McLeod steps into Lacombe as Boudria and Gray push and shove. Puck is centered for Sutherland. Hansis breaks it up, and back come the Aeros. Hansis moving through center into that Quebec zone. Going in deep. Hansis trying to make a play. Now on the end boards, here's Hansis fighting Bernier for it. Here's Boudria on the corner, just fires it down the ice. Quebec will be called for icing here should McLeod beat Miller to it. McLeod back to touch it. Nordiques are called for icing. 14-10 remaining in the second period. Aeros leading 2-0.
Had a lot of hard skating out there, so Bill Dineen will be changing relatively quickly because it's pretty hot in the building here. It's been a nice warm day in Houston. As I look around this crowd, it's funny in this building, that it just seems to get a lot of people into the building a little bit later on, but we tried to adjust our starting times, Jerry, make the weekdays at 8 o'clock and Sunday at 7 o'clock to give people a little more time, but such a beautiful day, I guess some people just a little bit late in getting to the game.
Of course, the big golf tournament, the Houston Open and the River Oaks Tennis Tournament are played in Houston today. 629-1050, that Aeros season ticket hotline. Help the Aeros into the NHL next season. Laraway for the Aeros, a shot, hit the side of the goal. Rebound, Brodeur covers up on it. Play is called. Face-off will be in the circle to the left of the Quebec goaltender once again. The Aeros leading 2-0. 629-1050. If you want hockey, come and get it. Get those season tickets. You'll help the Aeros into the NHL next season.
Dory talking to Lacroix. He had him tied up in front of the net there, and Lacroix looking at Freddie. Freddie gave him the nod, say, hey, I saw it.
From the draw, Nordiques get it. Dory lost it to Lacroix. Back to Laraway in the slot. Now moving around one man. Lost it to Paul and Bordelot. Ties Bordelot up. Nordiques get the puck, and Fitchner starts out on right wing, bumped by John Tonelli. Now here's Laraway with it, moving in around Dory. Laraway with Tonelli, a pass for Tonelli, blocked by Baxter. Now Baxter takes Laraway out along the boards. They get it to Dubé. Dubé shoots it to center, and here's Paul Popio for the Aeros as Dory is after Lacroix. Lacroix knocked flying. Here's Lacroix with the puck for the Aeros. In for John Tonelli. Baxter breaks it up. Laraway after him. Oh, Baxter put a move on Laraway. Shoots it down the ice into the Houston zone. Rutledge leaves it for John Hughes. Hughes overskates it for the Aeros. Flips it up on left wing for Tonelli. Now Baxter at the point holding it in. Blocked by Lacroix. Here's Popil after the puck. He's tied up by Dubé. Bordelot moving in front. Rutledge slides across to break it up. And here's Dubé with that puck. Centers it. Fitchner a shot. Rutledge, an unbelievable save on Bob Fitchner. And a standing ovation for Wayne Rutledge here. And I'll tell you, Jack, it couldn't happen to a more deserving guy than Wayne Rutledge. One of the original Aeros. You just love to see him come up big.
He's played some awfully big games for the Aeros over the years, and Bill Dineen going with him here in the tough spots. And Rutt responding well. He's got a big body, and when he starts throwing it in front of that puck, it means an awful lot. And he's hard. And you know, over the years talking about him, what I think about him as far as he's tough. He can cover a lot of territory. When he's playing out of that net well and covering the angle, he's one of the toughest in hockey.
2-0 lead for the Aeros with Ruskowski up front along with Lukowicz and Turbecci. The Nordiques have Serge Bernier with Mark Tardif and Buddy Kluche. Ruskowski and referee Bill Friday talk it over. Face-off will be in the circle to the left of goaltender Wayne Rutledge. Ruskowski on the draw against Serge Bernier. Now Lukowicz and Ruskowski talk it over. Aeros leading 2-0 here in the second period. A hockey game they have to win. Now Ron Foyt is going to throw Ruskowski out of the face-off circle, I think. Kachella comes over to give Ron Foyt a little heck. Lukowicz coming over as well, and here comes Bill Friday. Ruskowski, they just threw him out as soon as he walked into the face-off circle. I don't know what the linesman was doing, but let's see. Now they're going to let Ruskowski take the draw, and here comes Larry Lund out for the Aeros. Larry Lund comes out to visit with referee Bill Friday. Bill Friday is going to send Larry Lund to the Aeros bench. And the Aeros arguing it over with referee Bill Friday. That's what drives you crazy. Jack, I know this is like the offside call. I don't like the linesman throwing guys out off the face-off.
Well, it's a delay tactic now. Bill Friday saying, look, the last move comes to the home team, but the away team, Quebec, did not make a move, so the Aeros are set with their lineup right now.
Here's Lukowicz winning the faceoff from Bernier. Shella gets it now to Scott Campbell in the corner. He's tied up by Serge Bernier. Lukowicz with that puck around into the far corner for John Shella. Moving out through center ice. Long lead pass for Lukowicz. Down left wing in against LaRiviere. Lukowicz, a shot fired it just wide at the right point. Shella holds it in. He bumps with Weir. They get it to Lukowicz. Lukowicz trying to make a play. Tied up by Weir. Taken to the corner. Roughed up. Play goes on. The Aeros dump it along the boards. It's picked up by LaRiviere on right wing for Cloutier. Here's Cloutier. For Quebec, moving out through center ice. Cloutier with that puck. In for Tardif, breaking into the clear, in on goal, and they call it on the offside now at the Houston line. Fortunately, I was watching Tardif break into the clear. Fortunately, Bernier was in ahead of the play on right wing.
That's exactly what you've got to be careful with Tardif. He can come behind you. You've got to keep, if you're checking him, Jerry, yourself in between Tardif and the board so that he cannot cut behind you and break away from you, as he did on Tarbinci on that last play. I know Tarbinci trying hard to catch up with him, but Tardif jumped a little soon. That was his advantage and why he was offside.
Here's Bernier after that puck in the Houston zone, but Shella has it for the Aeros. John Shella skating it back of his own goal on left wing to Scott Campbell. Almost lost it to Cloutier. Tardif steals it. Tardif bumped on the play by Ruskowski, the Aeros. Shella shoots it down the ice on goal, so there's no icing. Brodeur sets it up for Gary LaRiviere. Here's LaRiviere for Quebec. Standing back of his own goal. Ruskowski after him, chases him around the net on left wing to Mark Tardif. Tardif, a right wing pass now to Serge Bernier moving through center. Bernier flips it into the Houston zone, in deep for Cloutier. Cloutier going in, got it to Serge Bernier. Looks to center it. It comes outside the blue line as Weir fails to hold it in. Made a good attempt, but LaRiviere has to go back and get it. Now to Wally Weir. Fires it into the Houston zone. Rutledge back of that Aeros goal, sets it up for Scott Campbell. Around on left wing for Morris Lukowicz. Now to Ruskowski. Ruskowski trying to clear it. LaRiviere steps into him. Puck shot to center ice, and here come the Aeros. Campbell moving in on left wing. In for Lukowicz. The shot. Brodeur the save. Rebound and score! Scott Campbell! Campbell picks up the rebound after he sent Lukowicz in across the line. The original shot by Lukowicz was stopped by Brodeur. The rebound lay right at his pads, and Campbell cutting in off the left wing, fired it in over the goaltender to make it 3-0 in favor of the Aeros.
And a good effort by Tarbinci to get back onside on the play. A nice passing combination, and that's what we talked about earlier. You've got to be on those rebounds. Campbell throwing it high over Brodeur. That's a big goal, but you've got to keep charging.
Scott Campbell, his first of the playoffs. Lukowicz will get an assist.
So the goals are coming from a lot of different areas. Campbell with his first, Connor with his first, and Tarbinci with his first.
Paul Tarbinci gets an assist, his second point of the night. Aeros lead it 3-0 on the goal by Scott Campbell. Here's Lacombe out on right wing to Boudria, moving to center ice. Boudria shoots it ahead for Miller. Got by Popeil, racing it after it. Rutledge comes onto the goal to steer it away to Larry Lund in the corner, now to Ted Taylor. Lacombe holding it in. Lund steals the puck. Lund for the Aeros. Now trying to make a play with that puck in his own zone in the far corner for John Hughes. Hughes in the near corner for Popeil. He missed it. Taylor with that puck shoots it down the ice. Going back is Jean Bernier beating Larry Lund to it. The Aeros on top 3-0. They clear it to Boudria at that Nordiques blue line. He gave it away to Ron